my friend, with Keviru, so that I've written a 2 books because that has been my struggle for all my years. You heard I started preaching about 50 years ago, and yet I've been a professional earning a salary, not really paid by the church. At least I've never had a chance to be paid by a church or an organization. How do you ensure you are not a thief at work? Because if you use office hours to do ministry, you are actually a thief. 3 things have helped me balancing the 2. Number 1, I discovered that every employer gives you about 8 hours per day, 45 hours per week. That's what they pay you for. Am I communicating? Okay, teachers is difficult to be sure, but generally speaking, you report at 8 o'clock and leave at 5. Are we together? Now, if 8 hours are given to an employer, how many hours are left in 24 hours? Mathematicians. 16. Now, a grown-up, if he sleeps 6 hours, is that not adequate? So how many hours are you left with? 10. Do you know 10 hours, if you're a bachelor, you can do another job. Am I right? So what is there to balance? Can you see how much time you have? If you're a bachelor, you have enough work to do ministry without affecting your professional life. Am I communicating? That means that as a teacher, you can teach, mark, and supervise when you're on duty, and still be having another 6 hours to do voluntary visitation to students, ministry, evangelizing, all of it. So that's the first thing I discovered. That when you talk about lack of time, it's not true. In the 1970s, I still remember a workmate who used to go to Nakuru every weekend. That's when I heard about Ragaranga. Is there a place called Ragaranga? And they do some at least back in the 1970s, they used to do some vehicle. And you go all the way to Nakuru, yes, I can't afford every weekend. That's when I discovered. You mean people have time. Others are in Karumaindo every day. You know Karumaindo? They have enough time to do Karumaindo. Every morning they come with red eyes. Another one has a wife and a concubine. And he is able to tackle both. And one doesn't even have one concubine, several. Early evening, one. Midnight, another one. Early in the morning, back to the house. Now, you need to understand, these people are with you, are your ultimate. Am I right? You know me, if I go witnessing, I'll have no hangover. I'll be available at work. Am I right? So can you see that it is not difficult at all to balance your ministry and your work? But thirdly, I discovered that everything gets sorted out with a diary. I learned that very early in my life. If you saw me in the 70s or 80s, I always carried a script in your diary that fitted in my pocket. Everything I want to plan, I write. I want to plan, I write. That means that the same diary was used for work and for ministry, so that the two don't collide. Am I communicating? Now I've graduated from using buying one. Now if I open this, my diary is in my mobile. So if you tell me something, I go there and I can see whether I now do consultancy work. I can see whether I promised some consultancy somewhere or it's a ministry and I'm able to. With a diary, you say no. Like when I was working for Shell, if you not let me in the middle of the day, I didn't have to even look at my diary. The answer is no. But the weekends and the work after 5 are open for ministry. So I haven't had to choose between the two. The thing that is difficult in your about not asking me the questions is that it's not just a balance between ministry and work. It's a balance between ministry, work, and family. Are you married? Are you married? No, you see, you don't have the problem. No wonder you're not asking. But the married people have a bigger problem. Because you don't just manage work. and ministry. You must also balance it with children and family. You can't marry a wife. And last Saturday, we were running a marriage seminar for KSF Kirinyaga, and my wife told them how I changed. Before I married her, I used to preach. I go to KTT, I sleep there. Next time I'm kissed, I sleep there. I mean, I used just to check whether my color is very dirty. But I go to the office. That's where I live until the day I married her. Now I had to give account of where I sleep. Now, so I now have to change my method. I preach and tell them, no, I must finish by, and I didn't have a car. I must finish by 10 before the matatos are over. I'm not communicating. So because you cannot be married and ignore your marriage on your way to heaven, can only be on your way to hell. I'm not communicating. Yeah, by the way, it is there in the Bible. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 33 and 34 is saying, those who are married must divide their time between the Lord and their spouse. That's what the scriptures are saying. You can't claim to be married and all your time are getting to work and ministry and not coming to your wife and your children. You must say no to ministry, no to work, in order to be available for. And you know that thing is not forever. The devil and I, all that struggle is now gone. There are times when the children are jumping on you, you do that, you are visiting children in school, that's now gone. With the grandchildren, we just jump with them and let them to go. But when it's your own children, you must be available. Am I communicating? So, and there's a struggle. It's a very big struggle. So, I realized the best thing I could do is add my family in the diary. Since I have so many invitations for the last, I left university 45 years ago, and I've always had those invitations. I finally decided to block. I just pick one weekend and call it some funny name, which you look at it, you have no idea. Oh, so you invite me. Brother Nanga, are you coming to main campus? Oh, sorry, there's something about what? Keko. No, they don't have to know what it is. If they look at it, they can see it's blocked. Because I must be able to go to church with my own children. I'm not communicating. So I block it. So you need to understand you cannot join KSF and ignore your family unless you're on your way to hell. Because Jesus will ask you questions. Didn't you read 1 Corinthians chapter 7? Have I answered your question? But I would still encourage you to pick my book, either the one on work ethics, or the one on Christian professional in the marketplace, or the one on marketplace Nehemiah style. All of them tackle that subject. But that's a very good question. Yes?
Okay. My name is Kirato.
You might have to stand up to focus the voice so everyone can hear.
Yeah, nasema kwa majina naitwa Kirato.
Kirato? Like this one.
Thank you. I'm a patron. I'm a patron of a school. Ambayo iko hapa Naivasha inaitwa St. Andrews. Last week, 2 weeks ago, I received a proposal from a nearby pastor in our local churches there. In the school I teach, I'm the patron there, and hatuna instrument, don't have the public address. So we are tuna rely on the community, and more specifically that church, to assist us with some instrument. And maybe tunaweza kufikia everybody vizuri. Now the pastor proposed that maybe we can reorganize our program. Our service usually start at 8 and ends at 10:30. Now the pastor can request if tunaweza anza the service 7 na ishe 9:30. We can be offering the instruments like for free, and hudumu with us all the Sundays.
Oh! They are called with the strings attached.
Now I'm with the proposal wing it, and maybe if I get...
You are still considering.
The best way to handle it. I will appreciate.
Okay, now from the principles I've taught you, you know what the KSF answer is. I don't even have to tell you. The answer is? No. We are happy to have equipment, but not you. Why? Because we do not want to be associated with your church. Why? Because the parents of these children come from different churches. So he can see. But you can see he is clever. Give him credit. He doesn't want to, he wants to get a return on investment. So if he gives you equipment, and then the students don't become his members, what is he getting in return? That's why to join KSF, your interest must be heaven. You want to populate heaven, not your own church. So that's the thing. Obviously, the equipment. But you see, my suggestion is, if you have no instruments, how many people normally attend your Sunday service? 300. Sure, 300 you can talk without any equipment and be heard. The equipment improved, but you can still be heard without equipment. Am I right? The guitar, for 300, the guitar can be heard. If you buy a guitar, it can lead the choruses and the worship without any other equipment. Am I right? The drum, you know, you came to churches in 1950s, that the da buku ya gaine. We used to just knock. There was no equipment. If we show you the guitar, we knew you are a backslider. But and we existed. Am I right? And I'm not saying you should not get equipment, but you do not make it look like the quality of the service is lower because there is no equipment. So that's what of course the number can be. If you start getting to 1,000, you may not even be heard. The equipment will become. But if you are 1,000 and every child gives 5 shillings, that will be 5,000 shillings. You can start slowly every time buying a new equipment. And that's what I suggest you do. Start asking the CU to commit to a music or public address system equipment. Go to an expert who can tell you how can they be bought in different pieces and then work together. And you start buying so that in 4 or 5 years the equipment is there. You know, if he gives you the equipment, you might never invest in your own equipment. I suggest you start with. And you don't look for big. If all you can buy is a drum, start with a drum, something to keep the rhythm. Okay. But that's a very good question, because that's what happens. Yes?
Thank you very much. We've had young people in the city who walk, they minister, the wedding comes, we participate in the wedding, but the last time we see that couple is after the wedding. So they settle somewhere and we never see them serving. So maybe what happens and how can you help us that even after we are married, we are still serving?
I think the first help is to just look at Mr. Degwa. He's a grandfather and you're going to. So surely if you have just married, even you surely. What excuse would you have not be involved in ministry? That's the first thing. That you don't have a good example. Please accept your backsliding. It's nothing to do with your marriage. Because I told you it is possible to put your marriage, your family in a diary and still have time to go ministry. Are we together? So that's the first thing. Number 2, I want to tell you something. When all your concentration on the two of you fight very often. When your concentration as husband and wife is beyond your problems to the problem of your students, your problem becomes very low. Am I communicating? That's why you find people involved in ministry with a balance end up having better marriages than the one who never move. They just look at each other. Your noses become too long. But when you are ministry oriented, you still have problems, but they look small. Am I communicating? So it's in your interest. If you love your marriage, be involved in ministry. And then my final point is, you know, in heaven, all of us will go to heaven on the basis of the finished work of the cross. But there are also going to be gifts in addition to going to heaven. Those gifts are for what we did, ministry we did on earth. You know, we don't do ministry to get to heaven. Heaven is free. It's by grace. But serving the Lord has benefit in this life and the next. So it's in your interest to end. So if you are here and you are newly married, first of all finish honeymoon. But don't let honeymoon go beyond a certain time. Are we together? Yeah, be involved in ministry. So if you are the type that is running, we will accuse you of manipulation. The reason why you are in the team was because you wanted people to help you with the wedding. Once you got yours, any more motivation? No. And that's the wrong direction to take. So that's a very good question, because they need to understand, for the sake of their own marriage, they need to be involved in ministry. In the same way I said, ignoring your marriage will bring you trouble. The same way, only looking at the problem of your marriage will also give you trouble. The balance is somewhere in between. But the other people are also allowed to comment. Yes.
It's just an observation that when you got you were first employed and you get into a school, the Christian teacher would really bring you in. They were so excited. Oh, you are saved, you are sister in the Lord. So the CUs are on Wednesday or that. But there's a tendency that these days there are so many Christian teachers who are not involved in the CUs, and they are born again, because the patron will not allow them. The patron made sure this is mine. It is only me. And so with time, the teachers pull up. So I don't know what you can say about that, because we have very many idle Christian teachers in schools. Some of them is because they don't want to serve. They have time, they are running to wherever. But others is because the patron mechanically does not involve you to minister together.
That's a very unfortunate situation, because let's be clear. If a school has 300 students, like his, no, yours has more than 300, am I right? Surely, how can one person tackle all the things I said? Helping them in evangelism, helping them in nurture, helping them in bringing them in fellowship. How? One teacher is certainly not adequate. Would you agree with me? So which patron will not be the point? The work of a CU patron is to be the go-between the CU and the headmaster. That's all. Actual ministry is for all Christian teachers. Are we together? But then they are supposed to work around the patron, so that he is the one who will take to headmaster what are the needs of the CU. And he's the one who will tell the CU what the headmaster has said. That ministry, surely, even if you wanted, unless you are a dog in a manger. Ever heard of a dog in a manger? A dog in a manger is a dog that is sitting where the food for the cow is. Every time the cow wants to eat, and frightens the cow, and yet it cannot eat the cow food. So to be called dog in a manger means you are not benefiting and you are not allowing others to benefit. So a patron who does not coordinate the Christian teachers to do better ministry among the students is actually a dog in a manger. So that's the first thing. The second thing I think that will be important is that sometimes the problem are the teachers. People like titles. So instead of just helping the students, you feel like if they don't make me a patron, I don't want to be involved. After all, they have never accepted me as a patron. You know the title. I told you I was the national chairman of KSF until 1986 when I handed over to somebody else. I'm still involved. Am I right? The title is of no consequence. It's only now I can't see at the KSF council. But there are many other things I can do, like coming to speak in this function. So it's very important to understand clearly that the person, if you're in a school and you're not a patron, don't look for the title. Don't fight over the title. Simply do ministry. And the ministry is so big, it will be available. But the title, allow the one appointed to continue having the title. Thirdly, and importantly, you need a teacher's fellowship in every school. If you have more than one teacher who are born again, please begin a Bible study group for teachers, a fellowship for teachers, whether it meets once a week or once a month. At least you must meet. Why? 3 reasons why you are creating that fellowship. Number 1, because you don't know the problems of the school. Remember, you are patron for the whole school, not just the Christian students. It is these other teachers who will tell you the current problem within the school, so that as you understand the service, you know what to cover. So as you meet in that fellowship, the other teachers will tell you the issues that are going on. Number 2, you will discover the other teachers who can be good speakers on certain topics. And since inviting people from outside has its own challenges, you can invite a non-patron teacher to tackle a particular topic, or you're having a crisis with a student and that other teacher is better, and you can refer that issue because you now understand each other's gifts. Number 3, they are going to be your prayer partners. Am I right? So you share the issues, the challenge you are going. So it is important that you do that. When you do that, then what Mrs. Deborah is fearing will not happen, because you are really working together as a team. I think I've covered that topic. Okay? Who wants to? Nobody wrote questions, so everyone wants to speak loudly.
Now that you have mentioned the titles, should we encourage CU patrons, rather than being a CU patron at Chaplain, to start using the title Bishop, Pastor, Dad in the school setup?
Now, obviously, remember, we said we are undenominational. So the term pastor, you can't have a pastor for a CU. A CU does not have. So don't encourage any. A CU leader is a chairman, not a pastor. Because each one of them must have their own pastor. Why don't you? The moment you replace my pastor, you are becoming denominational. Are we together? So neither the associates nor the students should use titles that could suggest you have become a church. You are a fellowship of various churches, not a particular church. So that title should not be there. And anyway, it has no value. It has absolutely no value. In fact, it has confusion. Because the students start thinking, you mean our teacher is a pastor? Oh, then I will not go to see you. I don't want to join his church. So you are actually creating problems for yourself. Anybody else with a comment? Doesn't have to be a question.
Comment on the same, maybe emphasizing what our brother has talked about when we go out for missions. Apart from preaching, spare time to be with the leadership of the Christian Union. The other day I went in one of the schools, and after the Sunday service I was taken to the staff room, and then I wanted now to know each leader of the Christian Union. Wewe nini, mimi ni secretary. Na wewe, mimi ni treasurer. Na wewe. Then among the titles, I found one of the students saying, I'm the pastor. I thought I did not hear. Actually, you are what? The pastor of the CU. So it is important to get to know what happens, and then after that you have now the.
So you can see the meeting afterwards helped you.
What is your role?
It is.
I preach.
And the others?
Other members preach. then in a low voice, yes. So
Yeah. So I think that idea of when you visit a school, you must spend, the most important requirement is meeting the committee. And why are you meeting the committee? To hear what is going well and what are the areas of prayer. As you listen to both, you will come with a report that can help the next speaker to go better prepared. Anybody else with a comment? A question, a comment? If no question, did I deliver what you are eating for?
yes.
You feel better prepared to do ministry in high school?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I want 3 people to say what they have learned. I train people. I'm not a teacher, but when I run workshops, we always finish with people sharing what they have learned. When you share, you might say something the other one never even heard. That way he carries more home. When you share, you are likely to remember it more. That way you are emphasizing what you can remember. Anyway. Yes, my sister.
My name is Zipporah Nguge. I teach in Karema Mixed and I'm born again. Now,
Karema Mixed.
Yes, there is a Karema Mixed in my
Not our Karema in Kinangop.
Not the one of Kinangop.
Okay.
Yes. What I'll take home, today it has come out so strongly. Return on investment. I think now, okay, I treasure the ministry to the youth, but I think now I'll treasure it more. Having known that the effort we are putting in our Christian union is going to go a long way than the effort sometimes we put in our churches, and especially when maybe we are called to minister to the church. Because you realize when we are ministering to the church, usually sometimes we are not with the youth, we are not with Sunday school, we are with the older generation, isn't it? So if I have a choice to make, I've seen a better place to make a choice to go and share in schools other than sharing in the church. One has skill. Although when you are having the church platform, sometimes you feel better, it will boost your ego. But when you are sharing in the student ministry, I think it works better for the kingdom.
Amen.
And so I think we should have that kingdom mentality. There is a word God has been putting in my heart about Proverbs 29:18, that where there is no revelation, people cast off restraint. So he wants me to keep telling the students his word, so that they keep hearing his word, so that they are able to have self-control. Because if the word of God is going to be there for my students, if they cast off restraint, they may not have the self-control. But if they keep hearing God's word, they keep knowing what God wants. And God, by His Spirit, He will be able to convict them because they have something. But when they are not hearing His word, there will be nothing to be convicted on. God bless you.
Thank you very much. We are looking for 3 people. Another one? Yes, you are carry home.
Then again, a lot of things to carry home. One, that I'm a youth, and to be with youth is better to serve between now and 70s because it will not be necessary.
Thank you.
To serve beginning at 70. I'm just about, I'm an adult that is in the bigger 20 and able to serve well, that now I have a lot of energy. The other thing is that I have friends with me and I'll be able to associate with them because they are saved. Then we shall be able to be evangelistic to the other students that we are in, so that we can be able to encourage them more, and so that they can be able to be changed and also to the Christian right. The other thing is that we also need to as we associate with each other, we also need to encourage each other maybe by having Bible study, and also using the right Bible study materials. Because if we just take a Bible and study, sometimes it becomes unnecessary because you don't know what you're studying, you don't know the necessary topics and the necessary things to attack on that verse that we are reading. So it is also my effort to make sure that we have the best and the necessary Bible study guides so that we can be able to study. Also, the quality time, that is the quiet time, I think it should not be quiet time, it should be quality time with God, so that you can be able to communicate, so that you can be able to pray, so that you can be able to have the best time with your God and your Maker. You can be molded and you can be able to change everything. God bless you and have a nice day.
Wow. Wow. Those are many. Now, that corner over there, who is representing that corner? Yes, my sister.
I think maybe not to add much to what has already been stated about the importance of prioritizing the good ministry and now specifically high school. But my other takeaway is what you said last about our ministry being back and nurtured in prayer. Because many times when it is high school ministry, we may not take it as seriously as if I was called to minister in the church. We find you want to even fast and take so much time to prepare. Maybe when it's high school, the big thing, even the day before, it's fine, you just start to take something together. But I think it helps us to take the high school ministry so seriously and that study group so seriously and to make sure that we are praying much about it and even first ourselves as people, yet we try to God and our time and preparation.
Thank you. Can you clap for? Thank you. The meeting is back to Kevin.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nganga, for allowing God to use you. Also, what you have done is that students are very mobile and they move to different places. So today we go to that school.